Well, I just wanted to just bring to the attention and bring to awareness, like through my conveyance of like the concept of suppression and what I'm doing with my depression, but in a sense of like just bringing certain key intervals to light and like just shedding my own insight on it and like giving my own spiel about it while I guess bringing up the masses, just from my own point of view though. Suppression to me is when someone takes an emotion or a situation and they don't talk about it and they just keep it within. There is a term called repression, but when I think of suppression, it's those aspects while at the same time you're trying to live a regular life, but it's still fighting its way through, and it comes out through your speech, your actions, sometimes your thoughts, and then it actually bleeds into actual like mannerisms. And sometimes if you don't take care of said suppression, that instinct can become a full-on lifestyle that you never like face. Therefore, suppression is something that sinks in and it stays deep. And if you don't choose to go after or explore it, it'll fester and become poison inside of you. Over the last 4, maybe 5 months, I recently became a photographer and videographer. My main profession is professional dancing and modeling, but as of taking on these new two facets in full, becoming a full-time artist, I realized my life in itself was kind of put on hold, and I put my art life and work life as my main life. And I did it so seamlessly, where I felt like I was living the dream. I was doing everything that I wanted to, but at the same time, I wasn't giving me the time and giving me the energy. And I thought maybe I was either working maybe too many different jobs or maybe not the correct type of jobs, but in reality, I wasn't just giving myself time to be and time to give myself self love. So during those 4 months or whatever, I learned that I was suppressing my emotions. I was just thinking I could work harder to feel better. When in reality, to feel better, you got to really, you got to know better. You dig? You gotta take that step back and really look at everything as a whole and not just in little pieces and see you can make them fit. Like, nah, sometimes you really have to take the whole, you know, project back just to get it done the correct way. And I didn't understand that for a long time. I was definitely suppressing a lot of my anxiety, a lot of my stress, my regular home life. I'm a caretaker and I'm a single father of two girls, and that in itself, both my parents are stroke survivors. So a lot of the times I'm having to wear multiple hats at once. So I'll leave one facet of dance, for example, and then go to photography in the same day, and then do video. And then when you get to your place of being, mind you, I used to live by myself in Frisco or just a roommate situation. Now living back with my parents and caretaking in full for them, I go into the next motion. And then after all that is said and done, I have like little bits of pockets to be myself, but I wouldn't really get to be me. You know what I'm saying? So I would just bury myself into my work. So it would just be a continuous work palette. So that anxiety would just build and build and build, whether it be their problems, be my work problems, or be my dad problems. I would just instantly want to solve them and just go to the next thing, almost like an objective. Like I made everything like a checklist. I never just woke up and said, what am I doing today? It was always something, you know what I'm saying? And that in itself just can really fuck somebody up on the sense of just not breaking. You just feel like you're going 100 miles per hour, and I like that feeling. I love the sense of being busy at the same time, but it's contradictory because I'm not giving myself that rest. So that consistency eventually I feel like is like going here, but eventually that peak, if I didn't already peak, it's just going to slowly start declining and taking away from my actual prowess. It's brought me to a place of, I wouldn't say clarity, but it's brought me to a place of what I was saying, just that overall look at what I've done and just where I'm at. Just a nice overview. And before, or just moments in my career, I would have little phases like this, but I would feel like this is the first time where I've really allowed myself to just be and really sit with it and not make direct changes. Because normally when I see something that needs to be changed or I feel like something's wrong, I instantly want to capitalize on it and then switch it, because I feel like I just got to keep going. I can't let something falter me. But for once, I've allowed myself to just sit, look at the problems, analyze it, and just bask in it, and then slowly let shit just change naturally. Overall, I feel like it's kind of like bottled up inside me for a very long time, and now that I've added all these different hats onto my head, I guess you could say, I'm at a point where I really have to not so much stop, but I have to really like take my time, and I find it slowing down a lot of my regular things I do in my human life, where it is just things I like to do for myself to make me happy, things that alleviate my stress. I don't know how to do. I just sit almost like a mannequin, really, if I really want to think about it, or like Pinocchio before he got his little wish to become a real boy, just sitting and idle, with the strings, just ready to go to the next thing. It's a funny thing about that. I I know I'm human, but I know my thoughts aren't, if that makes sense. I feel I've always kind of been like that since a kid, or just kind of felt like not ostracized, but just alienated, for lack of better words, just for the things I've thought, or just how I went about situations, or just how observative I am. I pick up a lot of shit that I don't feel like a lot of people pick up on, and that at the same time creates a lot of sensitivity for me, because I'm just like, I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? But that can also falter a lot of like situations. So it's like a good and bad situation. But I've always felt like that since a kid. And me being left-handed too, I've kind of felt like that was like a little like place of like placement from like the not the heavens above, but like something from like the universe or some shit. Honestly, I feel like depression's in my life, my whole life, but I didn't come into awareness of it until I became a teenager. I would just assume I was just sad, or maybe I just was on the more darker tone, but I never really had a instance like, oh, I'm sad because of this. I didn't. I'm not gonna say I didn't have a bad childhood. I definitely had a good one, but the shit that happened in it, definitely some highlights, I guess you could say. And I feel like maybe I might have held on to those and didn't really fully break them down, so therefore they just stuck with me you know. But I definitely cannot say I haven't not been sad and or the term of depression my whole life in some form, shape, or way. I honestly feel like I learned how to suppress my emotions over time, naturally. My mom ended up getting sick at an early age when I was a teenager, and that in itself, she was a single parent, so it was just me and her. And my grandma really can't say I've been too close to my dad's side. Just how the upbringing was. I was around my mom a lot more. So once my mom went down, I felt very, very alienated. I felt very alone. I did not know who to talk to. I believe my Facebook was probably my virtual diary. If you want to be honest, back then it was very like ooh, high school, maybe like my sophomore freshman year. And even at that time, I was a very like awkward type of dude. I stayed to myself. So once that happened to my mom, it was very apparent that I did not know how to properly convey my emotions. I have a nervous laugh, and I think I'm a pretty funny dude. So a lot of times when I'm stressed out or really angry, if I can't pull myself back from my anger, I would say my anger is really bad. But I'm in a sad state or really stressed to the point where I need to still handle my business. Comedy immediately. I'll make a joke out of it. I'll I'll say my own tears are like vegan water. I'm wasting my tears. See. Quick and easy, but at the same time, just the quick bandage. And over time, as I've gotten more mature and smarter with my words and intellect, my jokes have gotten a lot more diverse and complex to where I can really keep myself entertained to myself throughout the whole day if I'm really sad or angry. But that is just a giant cry for help. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like the tears of a clown are heavier than a waterfall. So being seen, being really seen. Not for me having things in control, but when I've lost control, being seen in that light, I feel that's a very vulnerable state.
And is that because of you feel like you'll be embarrassed or you're judged for how you are in that state, or do you feel that when you present yourself in that way, that those emotions just aren't valid? Are you scared of other people's judgment, or are you just afraid to put it out there?
A little bit of both. I feel when I'm in control, I kind of like, I put little boundaries or hesitance around the things that I do. But it's when things that are not in my control, when like a bad situation happens to me that brings that side of me out that I'm not prepared for, that's when it's like I don't want people to see that. I don't want people just to look, to judge, to just, yeah, just see me, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, with how many hats I do carry, I do kind of feel like it's unfair at times for me to really be myself at times. So it's just like I don't want nobody to catch me on it. I don't want nobody to catch me on a really real bad day when it's like there's just so much shit that was out of my hands. You know, I don't want someone just to see that or feel it. You know, because I'm still learning myself, and I feel bad after I lash out at somebody out of a bad situation, or if I'm too sad at a good situation. You feel me? And it's just like it's that guilt, you know. So I'd rather just stay away from it all if possible. Taking my time with myself, being kind to myself, emphasis on the patience. I feel I like to rush through my emotions if I can quickly get it away from me, or subsidize it with a placebo or just a distraction. It's easier to get it away and that bandage is put over. But I feel when I can take my time with myself and really just analyze everything, like I have been as of recent, I feel it gets the bigger point of view out, and it gives me a time to really like pay attention to why I did this, why I reacted, was it worth it, is it worth holding on to, or is it something that I just need to give the time, whatever the case may be, where it's now outside of me, not just within me anymore. I can get it out and figure it out. You feel me? To your first child to your second child is two different worlds. How you raise them, that's real parent shit. Like you raise them completely different because you know what to do for the second one. I'd hope you would, you know. So it's just it's a different ball game. So with my first daughter, that was a crash dummy. That was the experiment. You feel what I'm saying? Like on some real shit with multiple kids, parents who don't know what the fuck they're doing. And my baby went through the reins with me, you know. But in situations like that, how she knows my behavior, my youngest won't do that with me. My oldest will though. So it definitely scares me when they get older too, especially on that. Like how they feel now compared to them really saying how they feel later on, and then piecing shit together in their head of their own decisions, things they heard back then, or just memories as we have as kids that you're like, oh wait, that's why you did that. Now it makes sense. That shit for sure scares me.
Also, you want them to learn healthy ways of how to
Exactly.
they're going to go through shit like this when they don't.
How to
That
do
way they're not suppressing it.
right? How to deal with yourself while being someone else for kids who look up to you. Reason why I'm saying multiple hats. Yeah, I'll sweep all this up. Reason why I'm saying just wearing multiple hats, like I am Mase Trigga, but I am also a dad. And that's a completely different side of myself to my children. Being fully me to them, that is like almost like a culture shock. Parents can't be fully them to you to a certain degree. There's a boundary until you get to a certain age and certain things are talked about. So when experiencing a lot of stress and trauma as a young parent, while your kids are looking at you raise yourself, it's like babies raising babies. If you want to be honest, I do see it as a scary thing and an adventure at the exact same time. But I'm a worry wart. I think about just like the boys, the girls' nights out. With the cars they drive for the first time. Like I think about everything. But at the same time, I'm ready for it. I have to be. You know what I'm saying? Kids are gonna have them regardless. Once they hear, that's it. I talked to a buddy of mine, and it's low key fucked up, but on a real just standard mental standpoint, you don't technically have to raise the kids because they're gonna want to figure out where they came from, and it goes back to their parents. They're gonna come back to where they came from. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, if the abuse or the raising was really bad, or there's a lot of negativity or violence, that's one thing that'll deter them. But they're gonna want to know where they came from. Doesn't matter if you're there, like on some real shit. They're gonna want to know who made me on this half. Why am I acting like this one on this half? Or if you're raised by a single parent and your parent has a little spite in them, oh, you get that from that other person's side. Leaving that little bit of planning in their head, like, okay, but who is the other side? Especially if that father or mother or whoever raised you was not around, or that other half wasn't around, they don't want to talk about it. So it's a lot. Yeah, just they're literally about to be little preteens and little teenagers. Like it's exciting, it's cool, it's weird, it's funny. You know what I'm saying? I was just telling another friend of mine, I love the fact that I can have full conversations with them. Like they were already really intellectual little girls, and they could just tell me how they felt. Just blah 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 blah. I already know what that meant, but just the fact that they were using the words at such a young age, and now that they're in the older age, those same words that they were kind of guessing around at like 8 months, 9 months, 2 and 3. Now they're really it's full complex sentences, structure and everything with punctuations, and it's just like it's dope. My youngest, I've been trying to teach her how to ride a skateboard from the jump. Both of them actually, and she showed up to my place and she was like, "Daddy, look what I could do." She got my skateboard and started pushing on it. That feels great. I've been working with them little shits at that for years, and that takes patience. So, saying all that, I was getting a little tangent, but it's also a trip though, because I was raised by my father. Being in the shoes of a father, I see situations where it's like, damn, I could easily fall into that nigga's standpoint. I could easily do what he was doing. I could easily do what he did or what other dads do to just bail out, or I could see why a dude would bail out or why he would just being in the situations. But then it's just like these are 2 kids, 1, 2, 3, 4. How many kids you got that are looking at you like you're God? You. D. Oh man. Which ethnicity we talking about? Man, if we put them all as a whole, damn near all of them. All of them had daddy issues. Some way, shape, or form. If their dad wasn't in the picture, he was in the picture, but he had an issue. Addiction, abuse.
Yeah, there's some happen.
Big time.
70s, 80s. I mean, I know. I mean, there's crack epidemic, there's fucking riots, there's all sorts of crazy shit.
But everybody's on that majority.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting that people that don't have dads gravitate towards each other. Like most of them do.
Magnetism. Because maybe we feel like a little like subliminal beacon that's going off, just like that extra piece. Just like you were exuding the same shit, or just like I realized how we're talking this conversation, we have hella similarities. You feel what I'm saying? Where it's just like you know exactly what I'm talking about. Generations, is it not? I would say my parents actually, my mom, my grandma speaking, even my steppops, I would say this for the time he was around, they made it apparent and open to me that I could always be real with my emotions. It was the trauma that I experienced outside of my house that made me feel like I couldn't talk to nobody. And then once my own parents shut down themselves, I felt like I really couldn't talk to nobody. Like, damn, I'm hiding my shit from them. Fuck, now they're down. I can't never talk to them about it. Actually, that is one thing I gotta say. The stress that I'll never be able to talk to my mom regularly. I cannot let that go. That is so hard. Due to the stroke that she experienced, it was I'm not gonna go into details just how, but I was the one who found her mid stroke. She had suffered a blood clot that was directly in the middle of her head, exploded, and I got the ashes in my head. Exploded, and it turned into a hemorrhagic stroke, which is the front layer of your brain, and that is the decision maker and the memory maker of your brain. So she ended up pulling through miraculously. It was an absolute miracle. Absolute. I can't say I've ever felt that feeling of knowing your mother's gonna pass, and then just sitting with that idle set of it, you feel me? Very crazy. She lost her sense of regaining her memory. She's very repetitive. You remember 10 Seconds Home from 51st Dates? Not to talk shit, but my mom uses it as an example. She'll forget within 15 to 30 seconds. With our house, the way it's designed, there's multiple rooms and walls. I can literally walk into the house and say, hey mom, how's it going? Hey son, how's it going? I can walk back outside, check the mail. She'll literally do the same shit again. Like, regular. You base that with other shit though, where it's like she'll be stressed talking about bills. Imagine getting hit with the same conversation 9 times about the same shit that you were stressed out about the first time, then getting hit with it. Honestly, 9 more times. It definitely gets under my skin at times that I can't talk to my mom regular, and the fact that she can't be regular. Like, and that's just one of the many things that happened with my mom that just altered her permanently, and it's just hard to accept that. That's my dog, but it's just like, man, it's moms. It definitely makes me look at who and whatever's up there. Like, nah, nigga, you owe me. You changed my mother. I can never forgive you. You feel me? Like, ever. That's just mind altering, dog. Like, I found her. I just got my license. I drove the car back. I just picked up my kids. It felt like a fucking movie, nigga. Like, literally pulled up to her house. She hadn't been answering the phone since I passed my test. I was with my daughters. I told them to wait on the front porch. I was knocking like crazy, and then there's a window on the side of her house that's unlocked just in case if we ever left our keys in the house or there's some shit. And I opened that window and I peeked my head through, and the window was into the living room. I peeked my head into the living room, and there she was, just laying face down with all the papers around her. I had to switch back and it was like looking at like someone who got hit with like the crazy pill. Like, my mom was cross-eyed, her hair looked fucking crazy. She was just talking to herself. I legit was like, Mom, if you don't come to your senses, I'm gonna have to smack you. Sit like one of those words, like yo, before I have to call the cops or whoever to come check you out. And she was not there. And then the fact that I had to switch back into dad mode because my daughters were still on the porch, I felt so torn. I did not know how to be strong that day. My daughters needed me to be strong, and I tried so hard to, I ended up picking them up, and we walked around the corner, and I called my grandma, and she drove over. But it was just so hard. I wanted to hold my mom so bad, but I had to hold them because they needed me too. But who got me? I definitely didn't like it, and I can't even say I even put a process to it. I numbed myself very, very heavily, very much so.
And still to this day, you still haven't processed it?
Processing, I would say it's become more of a reality now that I'm living back with both of them. It was different when I was coming in out of Sacramento and just living back in the Bay Area and just doing what I needed to do and just, getting my check-ins and just being a dad, being an artist. But now really seeing, and what brought me out here to Sacramento, really aside from COVID, was my grandma ended up suffering a stroke. And that was just like, what the fuck? Again, I was there when she had it. I was literally walking out to the front porch, and she was smoking a blunt with me. Normal, this is pre-COVID, like maybe a month, maybe 2 months before we had to like really go on lockdown. Smoking a regular blunt, and she asked me to go get, I think I had to go get something from her room. Walk back out, I watched that whole woman shut down in one side of her body, and she was fighting it the whole time and crying, and she was embarrassed that other people were seeing her, and yeah, but yeah, that's what initially brought me out to being out here in the first place, and now again being around them. It's just it's just a different light, different type of energy.
Very real.